Hello, and welcome to Women in Business, where we interview entrepreneurs and senior managers and show you the strengths, successes, obstacles, and roadblocks women experience in business. Since I believe every person in business needs to be visible, I'd like to invite you to watch www.sob6, that's the number 6, tips.com, which will give you some valuable information should you get the call to be on radio or TV, which I think is extremely important. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at Gayle Carson, that's Gayle, Gayle Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter.
I have a very interesting guest for you today because of her background. It's very unusual and wonderful. With 25 years of customer experience, Jill Raff grew up working with her parents, who were owner-operators of McDonald's number 150. She truly learned how to apply Ray Kroc's customer service philosophy that permeates their over 36,000 stores. She followed her dream to be a fashion designer, taking her to work in New York, Italy, and Hong Kong. She's fluent in 5 languages, trained as a chef at Le Cordon Bleu in Paris, and became a top food stylist, and within the food industry, worked with brands like Harrods, Godiva, Food and Wine Magazine, the Oprah Magazine, and the Today Show. She has closed over $22 million in real estate sales, licensed in New York and Texas, and uses her entire background now as a high-level consultant for companies who want to create a 5-star customer experience. Welcome to the show, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you, Dr. Gayle.
What a background. I mean, working with your folks, first at McDonald's, and then going into fashion design and doing that, in here and in Europe and Asia. And then you speak 5 languages, and you're a chef, and you worked as a food stylist, and evidently you're a real estate broker. And now you're talking about 5-star customer experience. So who is Jill? I mean, I have to ask you. So was this was I assume, your path to becoming an entrepreneur, but you kept going from one kind of industry to another. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, honestly, I feel like I've lived my life always following my dreams. And one thing really, it might seem really disjointed, but actually it was a very natural, organic flow from one industry into the next, utilizing skills that I had acquired or learned and honed in the previous career path or industry. And the thing is that the common thread throughout all is customer experience. It's putting my customers' interests first, thinking of the end goal, and that is satisfying their need, their want, their desire. And it just really was a natural flow. And I feel like I kind of tapped out of one industry. And I think as an entrepreneur, which probably your listeners can relate, and someone creative, you're always thirsty for what's next. How can we have more impact? How can I have a bigger effect and helping people? And so that's kind of what led me down this path.
Well, it's true. I mean, everything is based on the customer and their experience. So you learned that early, and you've learned it well. So tell us how these businesses that you work with grow more efficiently with your support. I mean, you would think, I know this is a big declaration, you would think that most companies have the customer experience in their DNA, but evidently, as you and I know from going to various companies, that this is not true. So how do they grow more efficiently with your support?
I think you make a brilliant statement that it's true. You would think that would be their starting out value, right? That they're valuing their customer. And sadly, as you said, most people don't feel it. And so what I found is that most customers' interactions are very transactional. And so they're not leaving with that positive, memorable experience. And so my goal through this 7-step customer experience transformation process that I've created is to actually transform a transaction into an interaction. So taking that cold, a transaction is basically an exchange of money for goods or services. It's very cold. There's nothing emotional about it. There's no real relational aspect to it. And so with my transformation process, I take the companies through this, using that as a roadmap and looking at where they are, where are their problems, what's costing them the most money, where are they stuck, where do they need to break through that ceiling. And it really starts with their critical core values. And you would think most companies have that down pat. And if they do, they probably are not using it as I would advise to really have every decision made thereafter, from alignment of their hiring, from their training, it goes on, and having it be reflected back to their core values. Does it support their core values? And a lot of times I think even for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, they don't even think about doing that piece. And I think it's really important for companies to get super clear on that, because then it helps them dig deep to determine who they are, what do they stand for, what are they offering.
Well, it's so true because I remember years ago, I used to teach a course on telephone technique, and tied it in with customer service. And
Mm.
I would have the people who were in my, some were, the telephone operators or the receptionists and so forth, but occasionally I would have an owner for some reason in the class, and I would always say to them, I want you to go out on the lunch hour on your break and call your company and see how the phone is answered, see how they respond to questions you might ask, see how long it takes them to get you to the right department, etc. And people would come back and say, "Oh my gosh, how am I doing any business at all? I can't believe what's happening." So, how do you, in this process, help businesses reduce employee turnover?
I love what you just said, because actually Tony Hsieh did that with Zappos too, and he tells a really interesting story. I heard him speak once, but it's also in his book, about how he called asking for a pizza to Zappos to see how they'd respond. So that's great that you did that. So what I do that helps companies reduce their retention, it all ties into going, again, starting out with their core values. But if they create a culture within their company that honors their customer's decision and their choice to do business with you, because everyone has a choice every time we go to purchase something, then in fact, you will create a team. I think you take your employees, your staff, and you turn them into a team. You let them know you value them. You respect your employees the same way and treat them the same way you want them to treat your customers. And when you invest in them, when you train them, when you show them you believe in them, they're going to be a part of something bigger. That's what people want. Even statistically, it shows that people want to be a part of something bigger and feel like they're making a difference, even more than worried about their income. They'll even take a cut in pay to be a part of something that they feel they have some value with. So if you show them, I kind of call it kind of E to the third. So you educate them, you empower them, and then you entrust them, and you let them go out and you give them the possibility to make decisions. You trust them. And when you do that, you're going to see employees are going to stay longer, and that is going to go out to have an increased customer retention as well, because they're going to feel this great energy from within your culture.
Well, I certainly know that companies do training, and certainly they try to train their people, but I still see at head levels, at the business owner or the entrepreneur, especially because in a huge company the CEO doesn't even get down to that level, but
Mm-hmm.
in entrepreneurial companies I still see them being critiqued, the employees being critiqued rather than being rewarded. When you said, educate and then empower, they say that. And then in trust, that's a whole other, that's another area. I'm not sure that always happens, because if it's not done exactly the way the owner or the entrepreneur wants it done, it doesn't always happen. So when you talk about these things, what framework do you use so that they can see their revenues increase? Because I don't know if they always put the emphasis where it should be, because they may not even know what things they have to change.
That's an excellent point. And so the third step in my process is what I call a strategic asset review. And it basically is going from the very top, like you say, sometimes CEOs have no idea what's going on below, or even smaller companies. The truth is that sadly, the perception is not reality. And so there is a huge delivery gap. And there's a crazy stat from Forbes that says that 80% of executives believe that they're delivering a superior customer experience, while only 8% of customers agree with that. So what's important is through this asset review that I do is interview stakeholders, owners from the top down, then going into your management, your actual employees, your staff, and it could be your frontline girl at a register, if it's or a boy, a person at the register, say in a brick and mortar. It could be someone on the phone for a digital. It could be even the dishwasher in a restaurant. So really looking from the very top down and looking at doing interviews, speaking to people and blindly, anonymously, so that people understand in the top, what are your people thinking? What is the true impression? What are the feelings? And when they have that awareness, then they can make those changes to make systems and training very effective. And that then leads to the next step that I have, which is effective onboarding and ongoing training.
Yeah, I can see though. I really believe those statistics because well, you just have to go through your day and visit various places, and you can see. And I think most people really do try to do a good job. I don't believe anybody goes into work to say, I think I'm going to have a lousy day today and I'm going to treat people as miserably as I can, even though some people say that's what really happens. But I don't believe that people go in like that. So if a business has bad reviews and low ratings on Yelp, and I happen to watch Judge Judy when I can, and people are always coming on her show saying that they've been slandered and have had terrible reviews on Yelp. And she says, look, it's a free country. They can write what they want, Either people like you or they don't like you, and it's their opinion, and there's nothing you can do about it. So what is your strategy for bad reviews or low ratings?
I believe so strongly, and it's true. You maybe not be able. A lot of owners say, "Oh, well, that's just disgruntled person, or that's someone from the competition." But it is very important to look at those Yelp reviews and those ratings, because actually, a Harvard Business School researcher found that a 1-star increase in a restaurant's Yelp rating correlates to 5 to 9% increase in revenue. So it's important of how you respond. And what I found in my research, which blows me away, is that probably 99% of owners or management never respond to good or bad reviews. And if they do, it's very inconsistent. So my advice is to always respond, whether you think it's real or not real, or maybe it's that one customer. But what I say is that it's not just one customer, because so many people are reading it. And you have to show outwardly online, where millions of people are looking, that you care about that customer, that you want to make it right. You let them know, look, we messed up. We're sorry. Let us have another chance. Come talk to us. We want to make it right. And my feeling is, actually, if you have proper training in your staff before they leave your establishment of business, then maybe they won't go out and trash you online. Ask them in advance. Do you feel you could give us a 5-star review? And if not, where did we go wrong? What can we do now to make it right for you, so that when you leave, you feel that you've been completely satisfied and you can give us that 5-star review, that we've earned it. Let them know that you don't want them it's not fluff. We want to earn your respect and your 5-star review. So I think dealing with it in advance, and then if you don't catch it, then at least cover it from the backside.
And it's really interesting. There are some companies who have a person who is designated to read all these reviews and respond. And those that respond quickly, and I mean they really respond quickly, they seem to smooth things out very easily. So you're absolutely right. I think that They need to be a response person ready. Now, it certainly doesn't have to be as quick as some of the bigger companies, but I mean, once a day, at the end of each day for 10 minutes, somebody should be able to get online and look at the various sites and respond. And they should have the ability and the freedom to do what they need to do to solve the problem. In other words, it shouldn't be always the boss that says something. It should be somebody who is experienced in this who can say, how can we make it better? This is what we love to do for you. How can we make sure this doesn't happen the next time, etc. So I think it's very, very true.
Yeah, that's the entrust part that I talked about before.
Yeah, and that's so important. So important. So share a story with us, Jill, about why you call being obsessed with customers' experience is so important.
I am truly obsessed. I find that I'm just acutely aware of it no matter where I go, because I know that through delivering a great customer experience, number one, in this crazy world of where everyone's disjointed and there's just chaos going on, when we connect to someone, when we speak to another human being, we break down those barriers and we realize how much we really have alike, how much we have in common instead of our differences. And so the first and foremost, I love the human aspect of just connecting to another person. And then I love that if you take that into the business platform, you have an opportunity for businesses to thrive, to increase their revenue, their rating, their retention, their repeat customers by doing something as simple as caring about your customer, connecting about them, having them trained so that you can give them the best experience. And they deserve that because they're giving you their business, you're giving your time and your money. And so, again, I think it's in my DNA from growing up with it, and the philosophy that, the customer's always right, even though I don't believe today. I mean, that's a very controversial comment, and the world's different today than it was back in the day when Ray Kroc made that McDonald's philosophy. But I do think that the customer's perception is right for them in that moment, and that we need to make sure that we are delivering the best that we can to let them know that we're there to serve them, not just to sell them.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, everybody has to make a profit to be able to stay in business, and there's certain things that they can or they can't do because of that. But in reality, if you don't have anybody patronizing you, you don't have a business. So it's a key to make sure that everybody does do what needs to be done in order to have that be what they are involved with. So what is your driving philosophy, Jill? What is behind your work?
My driving philosophy is transforming transactions into interactions. And I really want to help companies realize that they can thrive. They can be so successful financially. In fact, 86% of people say they're willing to pay more for a superior customer experience, according to Forbes. So people are willing to pay you more for that. So it's just take the time to figure out, are you prioritizing your customer? And if you're not, look at your systems, look what you have set up in your training, in who you hire, in your core values, in your mission statement. And there's just a huge opportunity to do good in the world, to connect with people, to have people feel better. In fact, there's a TED Talk that I love that says that the leading indicator of long life is social interaction, that connection, talking to people, whether it's your postman or the person in the store that you go with. So there's all these opportunities throughout the day to make us feel better, be healthier, and profit as a result in a business platform. So why would we not all want that?
And that's true. And it may take different forms because, if I'm a low price provider, and my job is not to, be a luxury firm, let's say, and my transactions are not that high in cost and so forth, I may handle things differently, but I still have to handle them. And those that are luxury brands, I mean, they're charging top dollar. They can afford to do very interesting things. But still, if I'm at a lower level of economics, there are things that can be done inexpensively. Most people just want to be appreciated. I remember way back when Embassy Suites had Garfield, I think was their their mascot.
Yes.
And they used to have a stuffed Garfield behind the counter mounted to the wall. And when people went and there was something wrong with their room or with the restaurant or with whatever, and they would come down really, really, really unhappy. And, oh, can we give you a free night, or can we comp your bill, or can we? And most people just wanted Garfield. They just wanted nothing else. So you'd be surprised
I
how
love it.
how inexpensive it can be just to make somebody happy. I mean, that's a very key thing. So, um, if someone was interested in finding out how to hire you or what you do or anything, uh, where would they find you?
Thank you. Yes, I would definitely welcome any conversation with anyone and see how I can help them. And you would find me at jillraff.com. So it's my name. My website is www.jillraff.com.
And that's RAFF.
FF like French fry.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I don't know if there's anything that you want to offer the guests, or if there's any offer you'd like to make to them, but you're certainly able to do that. I would say this: of all the things that you've done, Jill, um, what has been the greatest thrill? I mean, you speak 5 languages. I can't even imagine that. Most Americans do not speak 5 languages. Europeans do, but and I know you've worked all over the world, but still, most Americans do not speak 5 languages. So that in itself is unique. You've also dealt with all the different cultures, having lived in Paris and Hong Kong and so forth. What has been the biggest thrill of your life?
I think living overseas, so I did have an ulterior motive. I've always loved languages, and I was inspired by a friend many years ago who spoke multiple languages and is not from here. And I realized I did my junior year overseas where I learned my first language, and I realized that by being completely surrounded, having it kind of almost through osmosis, working hard, but that immersion was really important. And so I thought, okay, as a designer, I can go live and work over in Europe and I can learn other languages as a result. So it was kind of that drive for me. And I really it's in my blood, it's in my soul. I love living immersed in another culture, another food and language and music. And through their language you can understand their mentality and how they think, because there's certain words that are used in some languages that are not in others. And it says so much about their mindset and how they think. And I really love that. And I love that through these various experiences across industries and across the world, I'm able to now take these different strategies that I've learned and kind of cross-pollinate them now and offer them to my clients so that what may be used in their industry, that single lane industry of what we always did, this is how we do things. Now I'm able to say, well, okay, that's great, but what about something that was used in this industry that I've experienced and that I've honed? It could definitely apply in your business. Maybe we tweak it a little bit, but it's something new and fresh because it's not usually done in your industry, and it's something that would broaden your marketing or your experience with your employees or your customers. So I love that aspect. And honestly, when my kids get older and go off to school and I don't have that responsibility anymore day to day, I would love to go back and live in a foreign country and work and live and take classes again.
Wow, that's fabulous. That's great. Well, so if you're looking for someone who can bring a really fantastic customer experience to your business, and you feel like what you're really lacking is that customer support, that you feel you're doing everything well, your product is great, your service is great, but something is lacking in the customer support department, get a hold of Jill, because that's what she does, that's what she excels at, that's what she knows and understands, and I think would be a fabulous thing. And you can find her at www.jill, Jill, Raff, RAFF.com. So we have about a minute left, Jill. Is there anything that you'd like to leave our audience with that we have not talked about?
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground, but I just would love to give your audience a gift from me. And you can find that from my website, and it would be www.jillraff.com/CX checklist. CX is an acronym, stands for customer experience. So that's jillraff.com/CX checklist. And I would love to speak with anyone and hear about what's going on, what your experiences have been as a customer as well as a business, and how I can help you improve upon that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Jill, and hopefully our listening audience has benefited from this, and they'll be in touch with you and maybe learn a lot from your checklist. So thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Gayle. I enjoyed speaking with you.
Thanks for listening to Women in Business. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you have any suggestions as to who you'd like me to have as a guest, just email me at gaylecarson13@gmail.com. Be sure to check out www.sob6tips.com. And in the meantime, go to www.spunkyoldbroad.com to see the resources I have for you.